Hello and welcome to the first game of the day. It is day number 11 of StarLadder Season 6. And we have ourselves 4 great games to look forward to. I was actually listing the games earlier today. I was like, wow, there is not a single game tonight that I'm not looking forward to. And this is one of them. This will be Empire taking on Mouz Sports. Now, Empire has been in kind of a slump lately, but I'm kind of hoping, like every time again, that we'll see them do well. Of course, Mouz Sports always an entertaining team to watch, and they have still been on a high after their win in the Western qualifiers. For the whole night, I'll be having a co-caster again. Vykromond, welcome back.
Hi Sheever, it's great to be back. I'm actually super excited for the games today, and like you said, all of them big matchups, interesting games, interesting teams.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, already looking forward to the next game. Maybe in particular Alliance versus DD. That will be the one game that will stand out from the rest, but the rest also looking just incredibly entertaining. And I'm really curious to see what Empire does here. We've seen Empire not doing all too well. If we look at the scores as they stand so far, we see that Empire has actually got 4 games played, 2 losses, 2 wins. One of those wins was a def win that everybody got from QPAD dropping out. So that's why you see QPAD being red and all that. They're 0-15. They did win game, but you know, they got them removed. But yeah, I mean, Empire, they need wins. They need wins if they still want to go on. Mouz Sports have lost 1 game so far. They have got 4 games played. They have 9 points to their name, 3 games won. Let's see if they can make it 12 and just move a spot up there. We already see, of course, they need to catch up with Virtus.pro and Navi. However, no word yet on Navi. Even though they're very high up on that ladder, they are of course unable to attend the LAN finals since they would be in China at that point. So not really a word on that yet, but we'll find out probably at some point. For now, Mouz Sports Empire is what we'll be focusing on, and we see Lone Druid getting banned out, Keeper of Light Wisp, and Nature's Prophet getting banned out. So that's an interesting ban, making it possible for the Bedrider to make it through, for the Gyrocopter to make it through, and the Lifestealer. So 3 heroes that are just so strong already. We have got the first pick went to Empire, so they favored the bat over everything, but Gyro and Lifestealer, then 2 heavy cores for Mouz Sports, and now with the Nakes Assassin looking very strong. Empire though, they've got a nice setup as well. A lot of counter initiation and very safe lineup as well. I mean, they got the Cogs, they've got the Nightmare, they've got also aggressiveness in the last 2. I like it. I like both lineups actually so far.
I like both lineups. I would have to say I like Mouz Sports a little bit more. I was interested in this Nature's Prophet ban because, of course, yeah, that's not usually a ban you see in the first phase. You actually more often see it against Mouz Sports because Nature's Prophet considered one of Koikva's signature heroes. But I think Mouz really wanted to lock in this Gyrocopter and Lifestealer early, put Koikva on the Lifestealer, put Black on the Gyrocopter, and in that case, you can take away this global punishment capacity of the other team by removing Io and Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet, of course, we've seen Light of Heaven in the past be very good on this hero. Not necessarily now, since he's in a different position sometimes on Empire, but it's a good ban nonetheless for them. We see actually Empire using a different drafter, so they've had Light of Heaven do some of their drafts, but here we see them moving back to having Scandal draft. So that's an interesting little change-up that we have for this game.
Yeah, gonna be interesting to see what they can do. I mean, it feels so sad. Like the whole story of Empire. Of course, they were doing really well over the winter. They were just a dominating team, and then of course Funnick left, and then they had roster issues, new players leaving as well, and of course Goblak leaving as well, and that just it hurts them so bad. And there's still this big name out there, but they just need to have the power to power it through and get the lineup, of course, sorted out as well. They're not going to go to TI3, apart from, of course, Light of Heaven, who's going to be there as a /caster /panelist, I guess, for the Russian team. But other than that, they are in a bit of a slump. And one thing that is amazing in Dota, like what you have to have in Dota, is even if it's not going well, after setbacks, having the will to carry on is an amazing feat that you have to have in your personality if you play Dota. And I like that they continue on. I like that they stick together, but I also would hope for them that they then also get some results, because they definitely deserve it.
I think Empire are probably cognizant of the fact that while they still figure out what their last 2 slots are going to be, who they actually go with for that 4 or 5, or who they fill in the lineup with. It's going to be a rough period, but it basically, unfortunately, their offseason has to start a little earlier than most teams. They have to spend the next entire year sort of getting into gear. You mentioned, I mean, Empire were the most successful offseason team up to about March of this year, and then unfortunately kind of everything fell apart a little bit for them, which has to be a bitter pill to swallow, but the core of this team is still so strong. Scandal, Light of Heaven, Blow Your Brain, 3 excellent players in the CIS scene, and I think that they could make it work. It's just a matter of figuring out who those last 2 are and basically starting that ladder up again.
Yeah, we see some interesting bans. I mean, well, interesting. Empire chose to ban out Shadow Demon. Of course, that's a Nyx Assassin roaming combination that you don't want to be facing. And 2 mid heroes, Magnus and Puck, out of the pool, leaving Queen of Pain still in the pool for Mouse Sports to pick up. So that's gonna be their mid. They now only need either a support, which could be Alina still if they want to, or jungle hero. Depends really what they favor. And of course, on Mouse Sports we see 2 offlaners banned out, a Weaver and a Darkseer, 2 heroes that they really like to play. Actually, offlaner is interesting to note because of course Clockwork might be a support then here if they were expecting that, but oh well, banning some of Light of Heaven's heroes regardless. And the anti-mage there as well, because Empire doesn't have their carry yet. And even though Mouse Sports, they don't really have to care that much about what kind of carry Empire picks up, because they already got their core, and these 2 cores probably are going to be outshining the Alchemists in this case with the 2 of them anyway.
So one interesting thing for Empire is this lineup is extremely similar to other lineups that they've been running lately. The Bane has become very common for them. So these 2 stand-ins, Yamaha and Cliff, have actually played a couple of games for them already. And this lineup is actually the exact lineup that they played against us like a day or 2 ago. The only difference is Batrider instead of Templar Assassin in the mid. So maybe they're trying to concentrate on just a few really solid lineups that they know to try to sort of get wins where maybe they otherwise wouldn't. Like, if your team is fairly new, it's actually really good to have fewer lineups that you run just so that you can have a practice advantage or less of a practice disadvantage.
Yeah, well, practice makes perfect.
Yes.
Something like that. But yeah, it's a tough team to practice against, though. Like,
right.
Yeah, well, if you think it's perfect, it's well rounded, perfected. How you say that? Like, you know, made the coal made into diamond, so to speak. Then you can try it up against Mouse Sports. This is probably going to be one of their harder encounters in StarLadder. Mouse Sports being one of the top teams that they'll have to face. Of course, there's a lot of top teams in StarLadder, so it's never done. But yeah, with the Rubik now also for Mouse Sports, are you thinking aggressive tri lane? Because normally we see Quakefa on the off lane with a Lifestealer has got some support, but he also did that solo a couple of times. So I'm not really convinced if it's going to be an aggressive tri lane yet. How about you?
I'm not sure if it will be, although in my opinion, they should run an aggressive tri-lane, black solo safe. Lifestealer is such a good hero to win sort of the lane you're in and the opposite lane, and he actually has a little bit more trouble doing that against, if it's 1v1 against Clockwork. Lifestealer doesn't necessarily dominate that lane the way he would otherwise, so if they do an aggressive try for the 3v3 and then Gyrocopter against Clockwork, I think that gives them an advantage across 2 lanes, which they would love to have.
And then only the mid lane. We'll see.
Yeah, and then it's the mid, which is basically a skill-based matchup, really.
Yeah, because that will be a Batrider up against the Queen of Pain. It's a tough matchup for both, actually, but like I said, it's a skill matchup. I like those kind of matchups where there's no clear winner from the start, which is indeed the case. Let's see who's playing what. Empire, I'll go over them. Scandal already on the Batrider, of course, as you already just mentioned. Light of Heaven on his Leshrac, which is interesting because we don't normally see him playing a Leshrac, but he will play a support role here by the looks of it. Yamaha, the stand-in that we have seen continuously, he is going to be playing that carry once more. Alchemist for him today. Cliffits will be on the Bane. It is... well, also secondary support. Well, of course you have the combination Light of Heaven, Leshrac stun up on the Nightmare from Cliffits, and I am missing one. Where is that one? There we go. Blow your brain. It is the
off lane blow your brain.
Off lane blow your brain. Indeed. No carry blow your brain.
Yeah, so this is the same associations that they had in the last game as well. It's Yamaha, I guess, is a stand-in that prefers, or they want to put him on the carry, and then Cliff is a support stand-in. Looking towards Mouz, we do have Poss on the Rubik and Cinderin on the Nyx Assassin. It looks like they will be supporting Black on the safe lane. So not an aggressive try, more of a safe lane tri-lane with the Rubik and the Nyx. That leaves Fata on the Queen of Pain in the middle going up against Scandal, and that will be Koikwa actually going up into what could be a solo hard roll on this Lifestealer.
Yeah, we have seen him do it before, so we know that he can, but it is not your easiest lineup, especially not considering that the Alchemist will need free farm, will need safe farm, and there's that Bane Shrek combination.
It looks like he might jungle for a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him
he takes
for that.
Feast first. It has to be jungle now. He cannot go to lane with Feast first. That means he is now completely locked into jungling.
Well, he'll probably get more there than he'll get on the lane. However, it of course leaves Yamaha with a very favorable situation because he's just going to be having the lane completely to himself. On the upside for Mousesports, they also have Black with the lane completely to himself because it doesn't look like Blow Your Brain is able to get anywhere close. He's not picked up any experience just yet, has got that flare, so no cogs to keep him safe either. We'll just try to send it a bit to try and maybe get some last hits. But other than that, both carries happily farming. Secondary carry, I guess, on Mouz. I would say happily farming, but you know, he is trying to get something done in the jungle. And like he's mentioned, I mean, the mid lanes, the skill matchup, it is the only lane where I'm actually expecting a kill to happen. I am counting on Blow Your Brain to be safe, yeah, because you know he knows that he is in trouble on this lane if he overextends. So in theory, he shouldn't die because he should be extra careful. But his mid lane will be the one to watch out for.
What Mouz have essentially done here is trade a lot of early development for Lifestealer because he is not a fast jungler to hold down the Clockwork. The rationale behind this is that Lifestealer, even if he peaks a little bit later than you'd expect him to, can still do very well. If Clockwork is behind on levels the entire game through, he's almost completely useless as a hero. So if they feel like they can hold him down and make sure that he's behind the whole game, it's basically one of Empire's heroes that simply will not make a contribution. Cogs is still okay, but that's about it. Clockwork really wants the levels early on so he can grapple with the heroes that he locks into Cogs, and it doesn't look like Blow Your Brain is going to be able to do that, at least not for a while.
Yeah, and we were talking about that mid lane just a moment ago already. I mean, a gank would make a difference there. Now, both of these heroes are not easy heroes to gank, but what we do see is that Empire actually has already got a smoke up in their inventory, while Mousesports doesn't. And we already see that Queen of Pain had a bit of a tougher time in getting the runes. The runes are nicely controlled by Empire, just with help of the supports on the top lane. So far, it is still fairly even, 12 last hits for both of them. But I'm kind of waiting the point where Leshrac and Bane, or Clifford and Light of Heaven, will roam bottom, middle rather, and take that kill, take that attempt for a kill actually. But the question is, when will they do that? Maybe now that Light of Heaven is level 2, they'll see a chance.
It's tough just because Bane is simply not that aggressive of a damage outputting support until he hits about level 3. So rank 2 Brain Sap has pretty respectable damage, 160 pure, but 90 pure damage is frequently not enough to actually get that kill. The Nightmare in and of itself does not confer you the damage to be able to make that happen. So they could try to roam. The only thing is, because Koikwa is actually fairly near, if he gets his health into shape, he can come in and try to help out, at least once he hits level 4 and manages to pick up rank 1 of Rage.
Yeah, he is trying to scramble his life through the jungle. It's, I mean, it's a typical story of a jungle and Lifestealer. The trouble is, though, like, I'm expecting Empire to know that Lifestealer is doing this, and generally, Lifestealers in a jungle will be low on life. Like, that's their thing. So nobody trying to gank him yet either. It's interesting that Empire just lets him do what they want to. Maybe they are expecting that they can be aggressive earlier on. They have got level 1 of Edict. And they will already start pushing down the tier 1 top, trying to get some gold advantage with that one. As a Yamaha, he is ahead on last hits. And he does have that Goblin's Greed. But keeping ahead right now, when you know that your enemy's got 2 of those strong cores, if you make it to very late game, is very important, of course.
I like Empire's approach here. Take down the tier 1 tower quickly, generate space for the Alchemist, make him very, very difficult to gank. Approaching the Lifestealer is difficult because Mouz essentially have covered all of the possible avenues into the jungle, and there are 2 supports extremely nearby, Cinderin and Poss, who have spent this entire time pulling these jungle camps, so they're available on call should the Lifestealer get into trouble. The trade here is basically Empire gets the tier 1 tower, but you can see that the support level difference is already coming into play. Nyx Assassin and Rubik already have a 1 level lead on Bane and Leshrac. And for all that Lifestealer is a slow jungler, compare Lifestealer's levels to Clockwork's.
Yeah, that's not looking looking good. I mean, Blow Your Rain. He's got 36 points of experience. I mean, I think he's kind of regretting that he didn't pick up the cogs. I would even suggest, like, maybe when a Bad Rider reaches level 6, normally you see him continue to farm until he has his Blink Dagger. Maybe he should just go into that jungle, hope that his supports have sacked some camps for him, which they actually didn't, and then leave the mid lane for the Clockwork a bit, just to try and get some extra experience. He is actually getting some experience right now, so he almost level 2. Happy time for him, but it's like, yeah, I mean, like I said, that's not a good thing for Empire right there.
Yeah, the not picking up cogs at level 1 for offlane Clockwork is actually really reflects way too much confidence. I think what must have happened is that Blow Your Brain thought he would be in a 1v1 lane, because otherwise, if you're 1v3, in my opinion, it's almost inexcusable not to take cogs first. I think he must have imagined that it was going to be a 1v1 lane. Here comes the smoke gank attempt on Fata in the mid. Fata always does this. Right when night comes, or close to nighttime, when he thinks that the supports are leveled enough to gank him, he starts playing on the east side. So when the smoke comes, he can almost always escape. It's actually really, really smart, and it completely stuffs their smoke gank attempt. He just revealed Cliff on the low ground, so Fata completely safe now. Even maybe a possibility.
They actually might think about going in on this. Nah, they back off. Clockwork coming in as well. There's 4 heroes mid soon. But yeah, that's the gank completely failed. Double damage rune of Scandal has run out, so no extra damage from that one either. As we do have the Nyx Assassin actually rotating top. I love this for Mouse Sports. I mean, you already said the supports of Mouse Sports are ahead. This might be First Blood though. Might not be loving this that much anymore. Actually, no, he's not going for it. Spike Carapace is still up there. Cliff coming in. Nightmare. Here comes another Split Earth, perhaps. Yeah, and the stun being charged up. This is going to be First Blood unless Fada comes in! And he does! That is the first and second blood going to Mouse Sports, and the third blood as well with a double kill going to the support. The support Nyx Assassin. He was level 5 when he came towards that top lane. He was level 5 before that fight started. He is level 7 right now.
That is really smart play from Cinder. And that is, have you seen that YouTube Seductive Doom? Nope. Where they use the Doombringer to bait the entire enemy team. So that was Seductive Nyx Assassin. A total, complete, actually quick, he better not die here, a total and complete bait using the Nyx Assassin to bait the low HP Alchemist into committing to the fight. They clear the Alchemist, who, keep in mind, is a Midas rusher. Like, he went Midas before he went Boots. So they kill the Alch, a critical kill for them, and 2 more kills on top of it. Smart play by Cinderin, just waiting there, waiting until Empire got seduced into committing to the fight.
Yeah, brilliant win for Mouse Sports. And of course Sonic Wave, perfectly placed. It basically blew up and Light of Heaven and Yamaha, and there was no hope for Mouse Sports after that. Quite surprised that Cinnamon actually, I mean, he didn't even die in the end, which is what I was maybe expecting to still be a bit of a trade for Empire. Didn't happen, and Empire with those couple of kills, quite a bit behind, and it's all up to Scandal right now to get them back inside this game. He is level 7, he is building towards his Blink Dagger. He's got his last 2, but I guess without his Blink Dagger he won't be trying to go aggressive, and with Cinderin level 7, he will try to be aggressive, because that's the difference between the supports. Supports level 6s on Mouse Sports, they open up so much more possibilities than the supports up on Empire. Yes, they've got that Fiend script if Bane turns level 6, but Leshrac doesn't really mean that much for him.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Early jungle farming has put Mouse's supports both with their ultimate now, which is a big deal. Good news for Empire, Scandal is actually only about 700 gold off from his Blink Dagger, which a nice early, well-timed Blink Dagger on Batrider gives them the opportunity to make up for the level deficit by the fact that they can take one hero out of fights consistently. And depending on Scandal's execution, and keep in mind this is an excellent mid player, one of the premier ones in Europe, even though he hasn't gotten a chance to sort of consistently play the mid role, he can definitely make things happen on this Batrider.
Yeah, we've seen him, of course, on his signature hero, Templar Assassin. I believe it was Tuesday, I'm not entirely sure, but he can be very aggressive, and Batrider is exactly the type of hero that at some point you need to be that aggressive, need to be trying to make in those plays, and I'm expecting him to be able to pull it off as well, as he's just going to be taking some creeps here. And like you said, he is super close to his Blink Dagger, so we'll see him changing the pace of this game for Empire in just a moment, as we see the Alchemist scrambling back to base after being very low on life. Not quite sure what happened there, but he's going to be building towards a Shadow Blade, indicating that despite his Midas first, he's preparing to be ready for fighting fairly soon as the Leshrac indeed goes down. That was a Vendetta being used. Our Sentry Ward was still there. The lasso was not used though. Scandal not able to save his teammate, and luckily for him, Leshrac was there to take the blow, I guess, otherwise Scandal would have been the target.
That team fight in which they lost 3 and Cinderin went from level 5 to level 7 actually is so problematic because Vendetta with the bonus 250 damage on a 530 HP Leshrac, Leshrac almost instantaneously dies in that case. Black has actually gone Helm of Iron Will. This is an interesting trend I'm seeing with professional level gyrocopters, where more and more you see that Helm of the Dominator first. Gyrocopter is extremely strong in the early game and then extremely strong in the late game, and the building the Helm first actually sort of shortens that middle period between those two. So it's greedy, it makes him a little less effective early, but it brings that late game to you, and that's what they're trying to do, get Black to that late game state as early as possible.
Yeah, and he has been farming really well so far. He is not highest on net worth, that's still reserved for the Alchemist, as he's actually going to go for the Bane. Yeah, the Nightmare is still there, but Bane, can he actually get away? Those cogs actually do enough. They do enough to make sure that Mouz cannot chase that.
I actually think that Post should have transferred the Nightmare a little bit earlier from Black, because if Rocket Barrage had gone off, he would have been able to kill the Bane even with the cogs there. Maybe, actually. It's tough to say. Post did eventually transfer it, but it was after about 2.5 seconds. But Mouz are just going to smoke in response, so they may try to pincer Empire when they try to take this lane.
Well, they actually rotate middle. There's nobody in the jungle though, because the smoke is there for Empire. Blinking lasso, they find Black. That is gonna be the carry of Mouz to the sidelines, because all the supports just smoked up and went mid.
That's a little awkward, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody abandoning Black there. 34 denies, though. Like, you can just see the Clockwork levels have really suffered as a result of Black's total control of that lane. But it's a death now. 1 death on each of the carries. An Alchemist a fair distance ahead just by virtue of that early Midas.
Yeah, and of course the Griefer's speed as well. Oh, they're gonna go for this though. Telekinesis on Scandal was already there. The Fiend's Grip up on Cinder, and they find him. Fada getting stunned up. The Quarks holding him in place. And there is the Fiend's Grip returned. It is Scandal that goes down. Caliph's going down as well. 3 heroes for none on the sidelines. Revenge for the kill upon Black. They get it, and they get it good.
Wow, we need to talk about Cinder in this game, because I expected an Impale on 2. I did not expect an Impale that angled, hit all 3 heroes, and set up a perfect Queen of Pain ultimate. Fata and Cinderin are like 2 dudes with 1 brain right now. They're really coordinating well. It's actually, these 2 guys have generated pretty much the entire advantage for Mouse Sports in this game. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, in fact, Mouse Sports, or Cinderin rather, has been involved in all 7 kills. 4 kills for himself, 3 assists, and Queen of Pain the other way around, so been in all 7 kills, 3 kills, 4 assists. That's basically how it went so far, and yeah, like you said, they are having some great synergy with the 2 of them together. And of course, past stealing the Fiend's Grip. It is a fairly easy spell to steal, granted, but still making it, putting it to good use straight away, holding Scandal in place. He has the Blink Dagger. He used it to kill off Black, of course. But other than that, I mean, he needs to put more work into it right now, and together with his team, of course. But he can't kill anybody solo right now, so he needs his team, and that's why they're right now. They're gonna go again. It is Black that they want. It is Black that they get, because again, no supports around to help him.
This is nice. These are good kills for Empire. Good usage of the smoke. Now that the Alchemist has Shadow Blade, he brings quite a bit of additional initiation punch to your Batrider. That's a very long disable when you chain together the Batrider and the Alchemist. You don't even need Fiend's Grip. And keep in mind, Mouz are running basically. Wow, Fata needs to just flee. Look at how big this Alchemist is just on virtue of levels, Shadow Blade, and Phase Boots. He's very intimidating, and Mouz have to be careful. Because Black went Helm of the Dominator, he's just not that much of a threat now compared to a Drum's Gyrocopter. They need him to not die so they can amass farm.
Yeah, and they're gonna try to make space using Cinderin infested with a Lifestealer. Koikfa, we haven't really looked that much at Koikfa. He has also got a Hand of Midas, so kind of a greedy build. He was able to pick up the tower killer on the tier 1 bottom, and they're not going to be able to find someone, so Koikfa jumps himself out, takes some farm. But he's only got himself some face boots and a Midas. Other than that, nothing just yet. We have got Sinrin building himself the mechanism, and he only needs 500 gold, and then he has it complete. And that's a very early mechanism for a support Nyx assassin. Normally you would see these kind of times on an offlane Darkseer or something like that.
Absolutely. We do see Fata building towards Orchid. I like this in this game. I think if you can disable the Batrider before he disables you, that would be fantastic. There's not that many other amazing targets for it. The Bane Elemental, obviously, if you could just completely shut Light of Heaven out of a fight. Sorry, Cliff out of a fight, that would be very effective. So those are pretty much the two primaries for Orchid this game, but just in general, a little bit of extra damage won't hurt, especially when you have Bane on the field, who can lock down one of your carries. Oh, Yamaha gets into trouble a bit, but I don't think they have detection.
No, they have one sentry ward around there, but was out of position for it. Oh, the hook shot, it doesn't hit. So that is going to be Mouz dodging a bullet there on the top lane, and on the other side of the map, Scandal, Light of Heaven, and Cliff, they smoke up. It is black that they want once more for the 3rd time in a row. Is this gonna be the 3rd kill up on Empire? Yep. The last who was there, and that's gonna be black dead again. I mean, there's nothing Sinrin can do, and he actually is in some trouble as well. He does have 6 stick charges, 7 right now. Can go invisible with them, so that is great. Sentry ward still goes down. Nightmare still goes down as well. Here comes the Split Earth. But they cannot take him down, and they realize that as well. But this is 3 kills. Going for Empire, 3 kills, 3 times black.
Not the play from Black that we expect to see, the safe farming play where he never dies. It's to put it into perspective, the thing about Mouz's lineup is they still have a life stealer who now has his Midas. He's caught up on levels, so he's level 11 now. And so even if Black does get punished as hard as he's being, and don't get me wrong, he's being punished very hard, they do have more damage coming in from the fact that Fata has completed his Orchid Malevolence, or he will in just like a moment. Yeah, he actually picks up another kill on Clockwork in the mid here.
Yeah, I saw that. That was just blow-up style,
but yeah, so the Fata brings damage, Koikwa brings damage, and so even though, I mean, you can't sugarcoat the fact that Black is having a hard time, Mouz are still generating other opportunities. Their gold advantage is growing, even though Black is getting consistently picked off.
Yeah, and even though Alchemist is doing really well on his farm, it will still turn out to be late game. The shutdowns that they do for Black right now, they won't mean that much anymore, because he'll still get his item if this game indeed goes as late as, well, when Alchemist is gonna start 1 versus 5ing, or attempting to 1 versus 5 people. And I mean, the fact that he is the only one that's being shut down is hurting Empire right now. It's nice if they can, though. I mean, it's the one thing that they can do and consistently do. They don't, well, they didn't really have Koikfa as that big of a threat yet, but they do now. Actually, I was gonna say he has his armlet ready, but they lasso him. They're gonna stun him up. The rage is gonna be in time though, and he walks away. That's a lasso. Not there anymore, and it's a sticky tower that actually been stolen by Pus. Telekinesis is there, Light of Heaven getting silenced up. That's the Orchid complete up on Fada. Blow your brain, open wound, hook shots in, but it doesn't matter. That is a Clockwork down. That is a Leshrac still going down. Fada jumping after Light of Heaven there, and 3 people on the run for Empire. Nobody down on the side of Mouse and they mech. And they go for tier 2.
I can't say that I really understand that hook shot in from Blow Your Brain when he could just as easily have hook shotted out. Yamaha actually gives away his location, but I don't think they can possibly kill him. Alchemist actually a rare BKB rush here. I actually think this is extremely smart from Alchemist because magic damage from Fata is one of the biggest problems that they face right now. To say nothing of the fact that, frankly, Nyx Assassin deals a beefy amount of damage in this game as well. The level situation just isn't favoring Empire now. You've got 6-8-8 as their bottom 3, whereas Mouz are most of them are sitting around that 11 to 12 level mark. Sure, Alchemist is big, but the rest of your team right now is food. Look at Light of Heaven's items. He's soy sauce, basically.
Yeah, that's just a bit sad. No Bracer even, which is something that you would maybe expect at this point. But a main factor for that is, of course, as well, they don't have any towers. They're gonna try to go for the nice by Carapace. That's lightning fast fingers from Cinnamon right there. But Yama, he does pop his BKB. Unstable Concoction thrown out on the Bane, as actually there's a Clockwork that already picked up Queen of Pain. Hook shot in. Up on Quakefire. Blow Your Brain. Regrets that already. Is dead. Cooldown coming down. Not really hitting that much as Paz takes some of Unstable Concoction to the face. There's a lasso. Picks up the Life Stealer. After Paz goes down, they challenge.
Wow.
Channel their rage up on him. Armlet toggling, but Split Earth is still gonna be there. Koikfa, Rage is trying to do something, but he'll die as well. And there's now the return situation. 3 people dead on Mouz. And no one died on Empire. That's the BKB power.
Not nobody. Blow Your Brain bought back.
Oh, wow. Oh yeah, he died. True.
But that was an excellent fight put together by Empire, frankly. Quick one maybe could have... Wow, Cinder. There's a sentry right here. First mistake from Escott this game. He's going to get picked.
Oh, they tried to put him to the low ground, but he is kind of dead. He does a lot of damage before he dies, though. Oh, actually, stick charges.
Ludicrous.
Wow. Yeah, that's 2 people to half HP.
Actually, wow, Escott, honestly, that was huge because he wasted so much of their time that they can't take the easy Roshan. Fata, did you see him bombing the Sonic Wave just to try to catch people
Roshan
out?
comes out of his pit thinking, you know, was that really necessary?
Excuse me, that was rude.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know, and if Empire actually were still in the pit, that Sonic Wave would have been excellent. But Cinderin managed to single-handedly waste so much of their time that they couldn't take what was basically a free Roshan. Honestly, this is the best game I've seen from Cinderin since he's joined Mouz. Actually, the second best, because he had an amazing Windrunner game. But Cinderin is usually praised for his strategy and criticized for his in-game tactics sometimes, and I'm not seeing it, frankly. He's been executing at a very high level on this Nyx Assassin all game.
Yeah, and reminds me of all those pictures. Sin.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Never mind, no sentry.
Yeah, they lost it because Mouz knew where it was and they counter-warded it.
Yep, and they're going for Roshan again. Do they have a new sentry placed? He has to be careful.
He does.
And now he's being spotted out. The pings come out. Cinderin goes for Light of Heaven, gets a 2-mana impale. Spike Carapace goes off. Here comes Fada, able to finish his job. Doesn't even get an assist on the Shrapnels. Light of Heaven already dies. Blow Your Brain, pops the cogs, blocks in Cinderin. Hook shot in to pass. But Blow Your Brain, he'll still go down. Buyback from Fada after he went down to the bed, right? The last 2 being used for that one. Black and Quakefight chasing down Cliff as we see the stun being charged up for Yamaha. Looking for a target, finds it on Cinderin. No Spike Carapace because it was on cooldown. Cliff will still go down though. And it is Mouzeport that is once again chasing down Empire. Tier 2 tower is going to hold Empire safe for now. No Roshan going the way of either team still. While this Tier 2 tower, the advantage that Empire have regarding Roshan. Oh, Fada. Can he do that?
Oh, nice
yes,
stun.
He can. Nice stun. That
insane.
Is the Tier 2.
Mouse's reaction times this game have just been nuts. Like, they're just instantaneously reacting to everything. Some of these armlet toggles from Quakeva, Pos actually preserving his urn charge by completely juking a flame break. I'm just really, really impressed with how quickly these guys are reacting to Empire's plays. One interesting thing, I wonder if this is a bug. I guess when Rubik runs out of Alchemist's stun time, the stun is not AoE. It's interesting. Oh, trouble for Yamaha here.
Telekinesis to the low ground as Fada, Sonic Waves, Line of Heaven, he runs. There's the Yamaha, of course, still went down. Bad Rider coming in, is actually on the middle of the low ground. He's still flying, though. Might still be able to do something here. Aegis goes to the gyro. Scandal will go down, but he does put Black on the high ground and helps kills off Fada and the Aegis. And that's a great achievement right there. He will be able to run away, though, Black, that is, as the cooldown comes down on one. Blow Your Brain. Oh, you're kind of dead. And Black will try and chase down Cliff. He can... Oh, Impale from the low ground doesn't reach in time. And that is still 2 supports making it out of Empire. But, you know, the core heroes all went down.
So they bought back Queen of Pain for that, and she died on top of it, so Quake will be very slow to get his next item after the Orchid Malevolence. That said, a big win for Mouz in the end there, frankly. Just that big team fight, I honestly think one pretty serious mistake. Empire, when they're behind, will need to use every ult to its full effect, and they haven't been able to do that in every fight. When they get all of the ultimates effectively, it's very, very good. But in that last fight, first you had the Fiend's Grip being used on a target with 10% HP, so the Fiend's Grip was basically completely wasted. And then later on in the fight, Blow Your Brain actually missed a fairly critical hookshot that he needed for a stun. So Scandal is hitting essentially perfect lassos, but they're going to need all of the teamfight ultimates to actually be more effective to win the fights.
Yeah, and so far the Black then has, of course, been shut down a bit early game. He's got his Yasha. I mean, he is still not looking that threatening.
No.
But he is still not looking bad anymore. I have to also point out, though, I mean, Yamaha, despite the fact that his team has not been winning these fights, has not been taking any towers, he's still on top of the net worth by only 20 gold. Or 13 gold even. But it's still, I mean, that's just Hanamitis, an early Hanamitis for you to get, of course, with Grievel's Greed and the way that Alchemist is built. He is designed to be on top of the net worth.
Exactly.
So you have to take that with a pinch of salt or something like that. But he is still looking really good. The only downside is he needs time to hit his target, and he is not getting it from Mouse Sports at all.
Alchemist gets less power per gold point, basically, than a lot of other heroes do. So he needs the extra gold to be effective. Koikwa, I wanted to mention, is going my absolute world's favorite Lifestealer build. All I need for this is the drums, and he will be the Race Car Lifestealer. I love Race Car Lifestealer, especially when you're not the #1, when you're playing this #3 Lifestealer. It just makes him into such an effective... Yamaha.
He just stunned himself. He gets another stun on top of that. Yamaha. That was not where he wanted to be. He actually had a chance to throw out a stun, I believe, but he couldn't do it up on Quakefire, or didn't do it rather. Decided he wanted to be safe and not give up his position, but the Shadow Blade already ran out or something like that, and the last tier 2 tower hereby down. And this is Mousesports in the position to go high ground, I feel like. They still have that Aegis.
Empire badly need this Alchemist.
They don't have the Aegis. What am I talking about? Sorry.
Right, they do not have the Aegis. They lost it because of, again, a good lasso. Scandal has been playing extremely well. They need to try to delay and not let Mouse high ground them before Alchemist at least brings Cuirass on board. I actually think Cuirass is a huge deal for them here. It blocks quite a bit of Quakewa's damage, it blocks Black's damage, and it improves the damage that Alchemist is dealing back onto Mouse. Right now, Empire don't really bring the damage, and they don't really bring the defensive capability. They need to shore up one or both of those things. I think Cuirass would be a good start. Additionally, just making sure they use all their ultimates, because basically they can take out 2 people. You've got Lasso and you've got Fiend's Grip. You need to use those on 2 different people and then win the 5v3. If that happens, I think Empire are in decent shape, frankly. Even behind, as they are, like 20k golden experience. They can still win teamfights.
Yeah, the only, like, you mentioned the shutdowns, which is great, but Yamaha has to be there to attack because he brings most of the damage to this fight. They're actually gonna look for it right now. They have smoked up, looking for a target. We'll be finding Synneren if he's not careful, actually. And that would be a gem going away with Empire. If they can find him, first up, last two, Synneren out of position, gets stunned up, and will drop very fast. But here comes Mousesports with the return initiation. The cooldown comes down. Caliph will go down. Blow your brain, tries to stay alive, but the hookshot not saving his life this time. Yamaha trying to find some targets. The sentry ward is there though. They see where he goes. They open wounds up on him. They don't have a gem anymore, but the Sonic Wave and the Scream, those were blind. They get them. Gem goes down again on the side, or for the side of Mousesports, as Light of Heaven was the only one getting away from that one alive. They gave Synneren, but they took 4 in return.
Yeah, we talked, I think yesterday in a game, Sheever, about the expression, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Seductive Nyx Assassin, once again, baits Empire into an even more horrible engagement. This will cost them these racks, no question about it. No buyback on Alchemist means no hope of defending this melee, and probably the ranged as well.
Yeah, and if now Empire initiates and they lose the fight right here and now, they'll probably lose more than just one ranged wreck. So we're gonna see if Mousesports actually tries to bait it out, because it looks like they might. We do have Fada actually just trying to take the last building, can do that, and they back off. Okay, so no extra return fight. Empire being clever not to try and initiate, because that could have cost them the game if they weren't careful. But you know, Mouse, very good shape. They are now on top of the net worth, even before the Alchemist. They have 3 heroes that are higher on net worth right now than the Alchemist after he died for the 4th time this game. So looking good.
And their two lowest farm heroes, their 4 and 5, have comparable net worth to the 2 of the opposing team, to Scandal. I mean, he's got his Blink Dagger and Force Staff, which is all you really need on Batrider, of course, but just the fact that Mouz, you know, has the mechanism, a luxury that Empire don't have access to. They're building Force Staff and not mechanism on Bane. I actually really like the Force Staff pickup because, again, they need the perfect teamfight initiation with their ultimates. So it's a smart pickup, but they don't have mechanism. They don't have healing. Their heroes are essentially puny and can be beaten up very quickly by these heroes of Mouz. And so Empire have to play incredibly carefully.
Wow. Synneren just went into the enemy base to pick up Quakefire's Quelling Blade. Just saying. Oh, Blink Lasso, Empire, they want to initiate. They get Black. He's got a BKB though. But the Fiend's Grip holds him in place. There's a BKB. Fiend's Grip interrupted. And now with the return cooldown. In the meantime, Koifa's already cleaning house. He already got 3. He's looking for a 4th. He's gonna get the 4th. And the 5th is on the way out. And Spada will kill him off. That's a wipe. And Empire, they buy back on the Alchemist. But that Alchemist cannot do anything right now. Throws out the stun. Will pay for that dearly. Because his life is about to go down, his game is about to go down, his throne is about to go down, because Empire just called the GG. Mouz Sports with a very convincing win here in the end for the first game of StarLadder Season 6, day number 12. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, remarkable play from Mouz, honestly. I really think one of the great things about watching Mouz, ever since, and this is weird, like sometimes teams, you know, they go for a boot camp and then all of a sudden they come out way stronger. Mouz suddenly became a new team halfway through the TI3 West qualifiers. I don't understand how that happens, but all of a sudden they're just playing like every single person has really stepped their game up. Special callouts in this game, Cinderin had a crazy good game on this Nyx Assassin. Yeah. When your number 4 is generating plays like a number 2, that's a big deal.
It is. He only died twice, of course. I mean, Empire doesn't have that many kills, to be fair, so it's not that surprising. But yeah, he's had an amazing game. Amazing impales throughout the entire game. And yeah, you're right. I guess, I mean, it creates a team. It is really, like, you know, otherwise you're 5 players, but in a boot camp, you are a team. It is what also Alliance actually said in interviews that I heard yesterday, I think. Anyways, we are going to be having the game that most people are looking forward to. The lobby is already up. It is DD versus Alliance, people. This one you won't want to miss, so we'll be right back with you with Alliance and DD. Stick around for more Dota 2 action.